Now get the latest on the Queen's health after her COVID diagnosis. We're going to bring in royal commentator Camilla Tominey, who's outside Windsor Castle. Camilla, nice to see you this morning. We know Her Majesty's being closely monitored behind you there. What's the palace saying?
Well, they're not giving us a running commentary of her health, but what we do know is that she is maintaining light duties. So the original statement said that she was suffering from mild cold-like symptoms, and almost immediately after that she sent her warm congratulations to Team GB for winning medals in the curling at Beijing. Now she's issued her condolences to the people of Brazil following the flooding. We've got other members of the family out and about, so clearly it's a case of business as usual, that kind of keep calm and carry on mentality that has been the Queen's trademark for 7 decades.
And when it comes to that, she's amazing, but she is 95. You know, do you think her doctors would be telling her to rest up right now? And what is the sentiment on the street? How are people feeling about the fact that she's tested positive?
Well, I'd like to see the doctors try, Ali. It's a bit like the Duke of Edinburgh. The mantra has always been, you know, if I stop, then I drop. So she likes to keep busy, and that statement from Buckingham Palace will have come from the top. She's the one that won't have a day off from her red boxes and affairs of state, because I think she thinks that she needs to keep busy in order to not only be seen to be believed, as has always been her mantra, but equally just to stay sane. We know that she's got all of her mental faculties about her. We saw that last week. She met a couple of military chiefs and she joked with them that she wasn't very mobile, that she couldn't move easily. So yeah, she has got some mobility issues, as you'd expect of someone who's turning 96 in April. But I think so far so good. She's closely monitored, but as Buckingham Palace continue to stress, it's only mild symptoms. The other thing is coinciding, and I heard your conversation earlier, with this idea of us learning to live with COVID. Boris Johnson's probably quite happy that he has the example in a 95-year-old of doing just that.
Oh, Boris needs a few sort of jazz hands over here to take attention away from other issues he's facing, doesn't he? Camilla, always good to talk to you. We'll check in again later in the week. Thank you.
Well, get well messages are rolling in for the Queen this morning, who is isolating at Windsor Castle after testing positive to COVID-19.
I know the whole House will join me in sending our best wishes to Her Majesty the Queen for a full and swift recovery. It is a reminder that this virus has not gone away.
Sure, that means a lot. It comes as Boris Johnson lifts all COVID restrictions in England. For more, let's bring in the royal editor at the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, good to see you. The Queen, look, she's not in hospital, Her Majesty, or even confined to a bed, but back on duty after her diagnosis. Extraordinary.
Well, it is. Good morning, guys. Listen, I think that in times gone past, there may have been a bit more nervousness about the Queen having COVID. She's taken part in a huge period of isolation at Windsor Castle throughout this pandemic, keeping herself away from the virus. HMS bubble, they dubbed it, 20-odd staff, keeping very, very safe and making sure Her Majesty was catered for. Now, we are in a different world of, vaccinations. It's opening up here in the UK by the day. So Her Majesty is suffering from mild cold symptoms, we're told, but she has been back at her desk today. Yesterday she was watching the horse racing, I understand. She was sending a message to our Team GB Winter Olympians and even penned a message to the people of Brazil because they've suffered some devastating flooding there. So she is back to work, and we wish her well.
There are reports around, Russell, this morning that the Queen's diagnosis might be part of a large outbreak at Windsor Castle. What do we know about that?
Well, that's right. My understanding is there had been quite a large outbreak, and indeed, I think the Omicron variant is spreading like wildfire. Even though we're releasing restrictions here, it's sort of a double-edged sword for the palace to try and deal with, because they got to be seen to be sort of towing the government line, and yet they've got to keep the Queen safe as well. So, luckily, she is triple jabbed. There has been this outbreak. Several members of staff are currently sick, but thankfully, not too badly.
Yeah, and we know, as you say, it sounds good that she's sort of recovering really quickly. They've got a bubble around her, but this is supposed to be a big year of celebrations for Her Majesty, the Platinum Jubilee. What do we expect now? Do we think that's going to go ahead? Will there be more restrictions in place?
Well, I hope so, because, it's been one scandal after another. I mean, it's just been an absolute fervent few weeks. I mean, the Queen has obviously been dragged into two of those scandals, paying off Prince Andrew's sex abuse accuser, and now Prince Charles is the subject of a Met Police investigation at Scotland Yard. However, there are better times ahead. I mean, got a big tour coming up with the Cambridges, the big extravaganza over 3 or 4 days in the summer. So everyone is very, very much looking forward to that, and certainly the plans are carrying on for the big party in the summer.
Russell, after Prince Charles and Camilla tested positive to COVID-19, we knew that the Queen had spent time with them in close contact, but Buckingham Palace was refusing to give us daily updates on whether or not she had tested positive. How would the Palace be approaching the public interest in the Queen's health at the moment, or how are they approaching it?
Well, it's a difficult one, because if you remember back in October, when Her Majesty was forced to spend a night in hospital, again, that's for an unexplained condition, but the palace didn't say anything, and they were caught on the hop, really. I think there was a bit of anger both within the media and within the general public that the Queen was ill in hospital and nobody knew about it. However, they've got it's a double-edged sword, really, because they've got to protect Her Majesty's right to privacy, its private medical history, and yet I think there is a public appetite to know how she is. She is 95. We do forget that sometimes because she's doing so much, but we've seen her sort of in frail health, in ill health recently. So I just hope she gets back to her best, is following the doctor's orders, and comes back and enjoying the party in the summer, hopefully.
Yes, indeed.
So say all of us. Russell, may she recover quickly and get around her words a little bit more easily than I can this morning. Russell, thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Russ.